most of people are well adjusted, but I look at it from the standpoint of, in America, just having brown skin automatically, we have a level of pressure.
My show is brought to you by Batch. Balance is a master key to life. Unlock your expression. Go to BAMMLLC.net/shop Batch. They got clothing, apparel, these cool mugs. Balance is a master key to life.
Outstanding.
So, my man, let's jump right into it, yo.
Yes, sir.
Wave to everybody who's here. I like to wave to the first people in the room, you know what I'm saying? Make sure they get they love.
Yeah, I saw a couple people join, man, and hopefully they join in the discussion, or hopefully they enjoy it, man. And let's do it.
Yeah, so you what's up, Joy? So you being a psychologist, a therapist, you obviously have at least one black male client. You're active on social media, you're active in, real life, the community and all of that. What are you saying in general about black men's mental health? Like, where are we at as a unit? Where are we mentally?
Wow, man, that is a very, very heavy and layered question, because as black men, and it's having a previous discussion after the whole Will Smith and Chris Rock thing, and talking to men about that whole thing. There was a lot of conversation introduced about just in America, how we're pretty much like a compilation of men of African descent. So you have your descendants of slavery, and you have a number of black, or sometimes they don't even identify as black, they identify as other cultures coming over to America, and we're all saying black, but everybody has a different viewpoint, right? So there's it's a layered discussion, but so we got to preface it by saying, who exactly are we talking about? And once you come over to America, it would be nice if black men who are rooted in America kind of had like an embassy where you had to come through us and get indoctrinated to say this is how we do things here, right? But it's not. We kind of all over the place, right? So, when I think about the guys who I work with, and I work with a number of men, and I've always had a passion for young black men. I've always been able to really connect with them. So, all age groups, from now, my youngest is 8, but up to 60s, right? And everybody from different backgrounds, with some having severe mental health challenges. And most of the people that I work with are very well adjusted men and women and couples, of all kinds. I work with other therapists come to me. I have, doctors, attorneys, police officers, you name it. And so most of the people are well adjusted, but I look at it from the standpoint of, in America, just having brown skin automatically, we have a level of pressure, right? And so, we can almost come up with a diagnosis for just having brown skin in America, and identifying that as something, a level of pressure that people feel automatically. But what I see oftentimes is people being kind of categorized into 2 categories. Those who really want to accept personal responsibility, and those who project outward and take on a victim stance. You have a victim mindset, right? And as black men, I think ultimately we lack a couple of things. From a collective standpoint, we kind of lack some courage, when it comes to really saying, what, I need help. And some of it is because it's a lot of disinformation out there on what it means to be a man. And I think that we have a lot of work to do to kind of define what is it to be a man? What is it to be a black man? Because what happens is with this skewed definition of what it means to be a man, we lack the courage to say, you know what, I need help. I can't do this by myself. There's a lack of humility with just being able to say, I can't handle this, right? And I need you. So, what that does is it puts a lot of pressure on us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I see us being divided as either family men or like your forever bachelors, right? And I work with a lot of family men, and just speaking for the mental health of the family men that I work with, man, there's a tremendous amount of pressure out there where guys feel like they by themselves. They feel like they're on an island. They feel like they gotta hold things down for their family, and it's a tremendous amount of pressure because they don't know how to express themselves. They don't know how to express themselves emotionally, their desires, their pain. They hold it inside, right? And there's a lack of outlets, healthy outlets to really express. This is how I feel. This is what I'm going through. They don't express it with their woman oftentimes. And so, and oftentimes that's a result of, how as men we were raised. Historically we just were not raised to be able to express ourselves because that was a sign of weakness. You can't cry, you can't show no emotion. You kind of got to be cold-blooded all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a number of things that's going on here that speak to, what's going on with the brothers, man. But I think if we kind of can put the the notion out there that it's okay to ask for help, that you're still a man, you're still on your own 2 feet. If you pick up the phone and say, hey man, I'm struggling, you're still doing that, right? But we for some reason we feel like we can't do that or we weak.
Mm. Why? Like, do you think that mainly just comes from the past conditioning, like trying to fulfill the definition of what a man is from a societal construct standpoint?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with that. I think is some of it is a lot of men not really having the proper imaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of us, many of us did have fathers in the home, but a lot of us didn't. A lot of us didn't have consistent male support in the home to say, this is what it is. This is what it looks like to take care of a woman. This is what it looks like to show expression, in a healthy way, right? And, the generations before us really didn't know how to do that. They didn't promote communication in the home. Kids were to be seen and not heard. From a cultural standpoint, black kids, just didn't really have a voice coming up. So now that's changing. But I know in my generation, there was no such thing as an opinion. It's like you did it because I said do it.
Right, right,
Opinion. Now you don't have that, right?
right.
So, someone said positive male interaction is essential, and that's true. That's absolutely true.
So let's talk about, you touched on something that I'm kind of heavy on, which is the delineation between those who have this self accountability thing and those who have this victim mentality type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, are both, you know, I guess both at extremes can be negative,
Mm.
but more so if we're talking more so towards the middle of it, do you find one to be better serving for us as black men and one as opposed to the other?
Absolutely. I think I see this divide often. Um, Someone said they be saying big boys don't cry. It's trust me, man. It's the black man that's anywhere between, I would say, 30, 35 and upward. Man, you can't. You weren't taught how to be self-expressive in a healthy way, right? But get back to the difference or the influence of taking self-responsibility versus taking the victim standpoint and how that impacts our mental health. When we are taking that victim standpoint and we're always projecting out to say, man, if it wasn't for this, then I would be here. That in itself inherently creates anxiety because we're relying on someone or something else to happen for us to take action or for us to feel like we have an opportunity or a chance. It's kind of like self-sabotage, right? But when we take responsibility, there's a level of pressure that's there because it's like I got to do what I got to do, but at the same time, you're not blaming nobody else. You're not sitting there saying, "Well, this is holding me back," and it's more self-empowering than not to understand that you have more ability, you have more control over the outcome than you realize.
Mm. So earlier you talked about just having the brown skin being something to contend with, right?
Yeah.
How much of that is mental as opposed to how much of that is actually what's occurring on a day in, day out basis for the average black guy?
Right. I think it would be challenging to speak on that to say the average black guy, because you know what's really average. It really depends on when you look at just where you're growing up, geographically, everything which you're dealing with, right? We look at in America, I would say that. Um, it first off, to answer your question, it really is a mental thing, right? Because unless you have experienced racism or you have experienced um, personally experienced being held back because of your skin, then it shouldn't really necessarily bother you, right? But when we're seeing these images on TV, I mean, it's plastic, right? So this gets into implicit bias, which we develop our perspective and our lens about the reality of the world based on what we see, and subconsciously we'll develop a perspective of a group of people based on all of the images and everything that's shown to us, right? So over if you're shown that because of your skin this may happen to you, then you can begin to believe it, right? And so we ourselves can have implicit biases against our own race, right?
Mm.
So we can develop these perspectives and feelings, and we can actually start to experience trauma. If the police come behind us, we can feel a little nervous, whereas we may have not even been pulled over before, right? Whereas someone who is not black may not feel that same anxiety because it's not shown on the television that you're getting choked out by black officers. That's not what's, even though it's probably happening, that's not what's plastered, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we're up against a machine. So it is very mental though, because even if you experienced it once or twice or in your life, it shouldn't be how you view the world all the time. But this is what we're up against.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, well, for one, obviously, like our brains are wired for survival more so than happiness. So if you have one negative interaction, then anytime a situation begins to percolate and look like that situation, you're naturally going to be like, okay, hold on.
Yeah,
I got burnt by the stove one time. I don't plan on getting burned again.
right.
You know me, I'm big on self accountability. Like I don't care what they showing me on the media. I don't care what so and so said. I'm more so focused on what happens in my day to day life. So that makes me want to ask you, like, do you think the way they plaster the negative images all over the TV and the media, do you think that's intentional? Are we big? Is there an attempt to brainwash us into this negative, low vibrational state?
I don't know. I wouldn't say it that's the case because if that were the case, who would they be, and what would they benefit from it? I think after Floyd and what we saw on the television, there was a big push. I saw a lot of television shows and movies and things like that being produced to say, hey, look, these biases are out here, and all of these things can actually begin to influence a person's perspective. Now, was this an attempt to brainwash? I don't think so. I think, there's definitely was an attempt, and it still is, to say, hey, this is a reality. This is going on out here. This is what's happening. But the impact is, some people are going to take these images and run with it. What we know about what's shown all the time is has heavy influence on people's belief. That's why in politics, they just put a whole lot of money into marketing. If you see my name enough, you're going to vote. You don't have to know nothing about me. All you got to do is keep seeing my name. So I'm just going to put money in that. I
Right,
don't
right.
care nothing about, you could say all or whatever you want to say, but if I put my name up 1,000 times and nobody sees no other name, I'm going to win.
Yeah, see, that's why I think, like, to me, I think that there's an actual um a movement. I think it's intentional. You know what I'm
By
saying?
who?
Whoever they may be. You can say the media is really the long arm of whoever they really is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But because I say that because I'm a cop, right? So I know that you could show video of any race or any demographic having something negative happen to them, justified or unjustified, on TV every day. But you choose not to do that, right? So at least, at bare minimum, it's a moneymaker for somebody, right? It's a moneymaker. So you're at least profiting off of these negative images. That's on the low end. On the
Okay.
high end, there's an attempt to, like, it's like they want you to be scared. If you look at historically, the ones that they had a problem with were the ones who weren't scared. Like, you can show me all the images you want. I'm down for the get down. It don't matter to me. However you want to rock, we can do it. Right. So it just makes me think, like, there's an attempt to keep us in a state of fear, if we're talking about what we see on the TV. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Good point.
yeah, so just it's just a perspective.
But to that point, though, that you're making, I mean, if you think about it from the standpoint of keeping people, a group of people in the victim mind state, then you're keeping people in a state of weakness. So there could be some truth to it.
Yeah, I think so. And you know me, that's my whole issue with the Dems, is that I don't think government should incentivize failure.
Mm.
You know, and like I don't think you should incentivize, like, let's say the cutoff for, let's just use an example. If the cutoff for food stamps is $30,000, and I make $29,000, and my job come to me say, "You're gonna give you $4,000 raise." Hold on, cuz, like,
Mm.
that math might work out negatively for me on the food on the food end of things. You're gonna take two of the four, right? So now I'm making 31, right? And I'm gonna lose this benefit. So you're incentivizing me to stay under that line. And
Right.
I don't like the idea of you stay needy, vote for me, and I'll take care of you. I'm
Yeah.
like, why don't you just either let me get it regardless of what I do, or just leave me alone?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I've definitely seen that play out, just working with people a number of people who need assistance for various reasons. And some people would choose not to get a job. Once they start to get a check, they'll say, I'm not even going to try to get a job. So it's tough, man. It's the whole thing, the whole picture is a tough picture when you peel back all the layers, man. And so, it runs deep. It's like, wow, you refuse to get a job now, and you could get a job, but, like, nah. In fact, I'll sabotage a job so I can collect this check, but the check is crumbs, really.
Right. Right. I was having a conversation with a coworker the other day, and I was like, most of us aren't really different. We may be different in terms of the amount of money we make, right? But once regulation comes in, we're human. So we all react in the same way, right? So, you know, there's a point where if I make a certain amount of overtime, it's not beneficial for me, right? Like, Uncle Sam's gonna get it. So I'm like, okay, well, I either have to turn this into comp or avoid it because there is that line. So
Right.
essentially, I get incentivized to work less.
Right.
It's like you do more, you get punished. And I think anytime you have systems set up to where success is punished, people are going to be less successful. And I'm
Yeah.
just not with the idea of, oh, don't, you know, or here's this line. If you cross this line, it gets worse. If I cross the line, I should be better for everybody involved, right?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah. That somebody said it's hard to balance helping those in need and preventing the abuse. You know, it's I mean, I think to your point, you know, and adding to that statement, you know, it's really about how you're helping people. If you're helping people by just giving them a check, that's only keeping them right where they're going to be at, right? But you really have to promote getting people out of situations, and that comes with education and accountability and really making them be a part of programs. And people will skirt these programs. They have things in place to try to keep people, you know, in order for you to get this check, you got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they try to manipulate them systems all day. I had somebody try to come and get therapy just so that she can get me to sign off on something to say that she's in therapy so she can keep getting benefits.
Mm.
You can't get me like that. But bruh, like it's bad out here. But you know, as far as the black man, I think that one of the things that I love seeing is a greater push for mental health services. And I think it is a push to normalize it. And so there's a lot of men. I have a lot of men, who come out, right? So there's a push there. So I'm grateful for that push because we really have to destroy that narrative that it's a sign of weakness. And it's a lot of people still caught up on that. But really, when I see the pushback against it, really I see a pushback against self-work. They really just don't want to change, right? And usually I see the pushback when it's a couple and a wife is trying to come and get couples therapy, and she's saying my husband really doesn't want to do it. I say, if he don't want to do it, I can't do nothing with you because he's going to sabotage it. He's not going to he has to want this, right? And usually they don't want it when they don't want to change. As simple as that, right? So, I see that, but I'm curious about the young lady who wanted to hear this discussion. Did she give you some questions? Or was she curious?
Let's make it on here. She not on here. She been trucking across the country. I just know she just hit me and was like, "Yo, we were already in conversation," and she just said, "Yo, you got to do a show on black men's mental health." So you know me, I was like, "Oh, I got the perfect guy," and I'll type up my questions and we'll see how the conversation goes. So I mean, hey, if y'all got questions or y'all have suggestions or anything, drop them in the comments or hit the little question mark, and I'll definitely read them. And Dr. E can answer them for you, and I can give you my perspective too. Let me ask you this: being a therapist, psychologist, right? Do you find yourself offering different methods of coping with stress, anxiety, and all of those negative things that we experience? Do you offer different remedies for men as opposed to women, or are they kind of the same, or is it just based on the person? How does that work?
Good question. It's interesting um, because oftentimes you're what you're speaking to is there is a difference oftentimes between what guys are coming for and what women are coming for. Um, you know, but for the most part, when it comes to what they're dealing with, is very similar responses and suggestions and remedies to it. And it's really about self-reflection, self-awareness, self-correction, and really loving self, really, and learning how to do that, right? And so, oftentimes, is learning how to humble up, right? Set your pride aside, and I find that to be the thing with a lot of guys is just setting that pride aside. It's like, come on, man, you can't do the same exact thing that you're beefing with your woman about, and you want to hold her to the fire, but you can do that and it's all good. Like I see that a lot, you know. Guys, there's a double standard, you know, that I see on both sides. You know, with men, the double standard is, you know, I can do certain things when it comes to, you know, inconsistencies or even infidelity and it don't have to be like physical touch cheating, but a guy feels like he can, you know, have an inappropriate phone call with a woman, right? And he's like, look, my bad, I'm sorry. But if his woman does that, oh, oh he wants to try to push her off. Oh, she getting pushed in traffic, bro. That pride joint is mean. And I'm like, you don't do that if that's not what you would expect your woman to do. Like that double standard is vicious, but it's like a lot of guys kind of look at their woman in a way that's like, you know, she really needs to be like this. And if she does anything that jeopardizes my view of her, then it's hard for me to kind of look at her the same after that. But it's okay for me to do that because that's supposed to be like what guys do. And you know, I challenge that because I'm like, nah, that ain't what guys do. You know, that's not supposed to be what guys do. It's not supposed to be acceptable for guys to carry their woman a certain way. So I challenge that, you know. So I see that. I see for a lot of women, it's a little different, you know. It's not really understanding because the double standards it exists on the other side too. You know,
Right.
you know, women. It's interesting how they move, and maybe we'll have a whole different live about the black woman, right?
That, oh, that's the one that's viral.
That's the one that's gonna go off, right? So I'm gonna save that comment about the black women, and we'll stay on the guys. But you know, I really do challenge the men because there's a for men there is a level of pressure that men feel that they feel is unfair because they like, man, you know, it's expected for me as a man to be able to hold down finances, to be able to do all these things, but I also have to do things that I feel like she should be handling, right? So it's, you know, it's like I'm not going to expect her to go out here and dig a ditch. If a ditch got to be dug, that's me, automatic. I'm not expecting her to, if it's a flat tire, that's me. I got it. You know, some guys off the hook. They see the woman outside chasing the tire, she got that. But for the majority of men, it's like, nah, certain things is just going to be me, right? And I'm not going to have you climbing up to clean the gutters. I got that.
Right.
But it's also expectation that sometimes I might have to clean the dishes. I may have to, you know, cook the food. I may have to do these different things. And they feel like, man, you know, it's a lot on me, right? Not to say that, again, women have a whole nother plight. And they'll argue that they have way more pressure than men. So, you know, but from the man's perspective, there's a feeling that there's a double standard. And I say it is a double standard, but you got to be able to accept the double standard. Because there's certain things I'm not going to let my woman do. She'll have to sneak and do it, you know. But if I know what's happening, she's not going to be allowed to do it. At the same time, I'm going to also pitch in with other things as well. So it just is what it is, right?
Mm. So something I don't remember what you said, but it prompted me. Whenever you see me looking like this, is because you said something, and I'm typing up my question here. So there's kind of like this new movement that's come along here recent past, where there's this thing where we like checking black women about, you know, what it is that they want out of a man, how much value they have, and all of that good stuff. And I don't particularly disagree because a lot of this stuff is factual, but just for me personally, it feels like a bombardment on the black female, and it's kind of getting stale to me. And I was just
What's the
wondering.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm not a part of this movement that's happening. So I wanted to get a clear understanding of what you're seeing that's being said about the black woman?
So I'll do my best to try and quantify it. I haven't been watching it a lot lately, but it's basically a movement to where it tells women the things they need to do in order to be wife material
Mm.
for a particular kind of man,
Mm-hmm.
ranking system based on, beauty standards, their physical fitness, um, the different qualities that they should bring to the table, the qualities that they may want to leave off the table. And like I said, a lot of the stuff that comes out, I don't necessarily disagree with from an opinion standpoint. Like, yeah, that makes sense, right? But it's become this thing to where it's almost like piling on,
Mm.
right? And the
Mm.
argument for the pile on is that, well, we've been getting piled on for a long time, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And
Right.
I wanted your opinion on it. I mean, if you hip to it enough, you could give me your perspective. If not, we could just, move on.
Yeah. I get the gist of what you're saying. You know, I hear a lot of the comments that people make about like Kevin Samuels of the world. I watched one of his shows. I don't really have time to watch reality TV and all that. When I saw it, it was more entertaining to me
Mm-hmm.
than therapeutic. I don't look at it like it's has anything to do with therapy and really, But like you say, there's a lot of things that seem like there's some validity to it. But I just disagree with a lot of what I'm hearing as well. I think that it's one. I don't think it's a true depiction of the reality of what's going on with the black community. Uh, because I think the reality is, and I've noticed this over probably I've been saying this now for probably the last 5 years, that the black woman is on a trajectory like this. The black man is either here or here. We're not on the same pace as the black woman. The black woman is outpacing us and outpacing us financially. She's crushing us right now. So this whole idea of the high value black man, I don't know the percentages. All I know is I've been saying is it's probably about, out of a whole pie, if you do a pizza pie, it's probably one slice of quality black men compared to black women, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, to now say, well, because you black women have to choose from one slice and all of y'all are competing for one slice, now y'all got to dumb down who y'all are and y'all got to dim your light. I'm completely against that. I think that's the dumbest kind of thought process ever, because I don't care if it's a whole sea of black women, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
say, you know what, I want to be with a black man, but I do want a certain kind of black man. I want somebody who's attractive. I want somebody who's got, something to bring to the table. Then I believe she is going to stand out depending on how she's moving. She doesn't have to worry about the disparity between how many men compared to women, because she's going to stand out. Because again, going back to the earlier discussion on what men we're dealing with, even in that slice, it's still divided between the family man and the forever bachelor. The
Mm-hmm.
family man only wants a certain kind of woman. He don't want anything.
Right.
Right. So that woman is going to stand out. So she can't dim her light. She can't lower her standards. But the issue is, and I don't know if this is actually reality, but I've heard it suggested that there's a lot of women who are not bringing anything to the table, and they're expecting these guys in that one slice, and
Mm-hmm.
they're not bringing anything to the table. I just don't see that. I don't see that enough. Now, if it's happening, it may be happening, but the grander scale is the numbers don't even match that for that to be the case. That's just not the reality across the board. That is so many undervalued black women who are chasing after this small group That's BS. What I see is a whole bunch of women who's dealing with a whole bunch of BS from guys. So the black man needs to step his game up. That's what I see. I see the black man needs to step his game up. And I tell young brothers, when I'm working with young men, I say, your competition is not the next black young man. He's not your comp. Your comp is the sisters. You need to keep up with the sisters in your classroom because they going like this while the brothers going like this. So, you know, I just don't, the whole movement is crap. It's entertainment. It's entertainment at its best because it's got people glued into this stuff. I had some sisters come sit in my chair and they like, Kevin Samuel said. Yeah. I'm like, that's entertainment, man. Like I get, you know, some of the, you know, but again, you probably do have a segment of women who are skewed and probably feel like, man, they deserve more than what they bring to the table. Of course you have that. But the grand scheme, that's not, the numbers don't support that. For the most part, women are sifting through BS from the black man. And if they need to step out and go get white dudes or Mexican dudes or whatever they need to do, if you waiting on the brothers, what I say, and this is the thing, this is the reality too. There's somebody for everybody. So, you know, you just got to do you, but be in your lane, and you will find the right kind of brothers because you'll be sorting through a smaller pool of brothers. What's happening though is I see a lot of women who try to find guys in a way where they have to now sort through a whole lot of mess instead of working on them, right? The idea is, and this is what I say, and this is culturally from the American black man, black woman. The black man should be finding you. You want your man to want you, right? Because this is just the dynamic that it should be. For that relationship to be successful, you want him to want you. You don't want it to be a situation where he feels like you found him and you pursuing him. That's a bad setup. You want him to want you. So that means you have to stand out. But guess what? You want to stand out in your lane. You can't be in a lane. If you, and I, you know, I don't have nothing against dating apps and all that type of stuff. I wanted to design my own dating app from a psychological perspective where you really would know what you're dealing with, right? But I find that what happens with meeting somebody in this way, where you're meeting somebody in it's a whole broad community way to meet people. I don't care if you got profiles. People can make whatever profile they want to sound, whatever, how they want it to sound. I know people that go in and they design their profile based on other people's profile. It's a whole racket, right? But guess what? A person can have what they want on their profile and you swipe right or left or whatever, and y'all hook up, go somewhere, and you say, you know what, let's go hiking. Because on your profile, you got hiking.
Right.
That person got hiking. You go hiking, and the person's complaining the whole time. The person is like, you know, do we have to take another mile? And you're like, man, we just started, right? I thought you had hiking on your profile. Oh, you know what? You know, I think it's all right, but I ain't really feeling it like that, right? But guess what happens if you just in your lane and you just going hiking and you just doing what you love, right? You doing the thing that you love doing, and you're going to be hiking, and then you're going to see somebody else who's hiking, and then y'all going to eat your lunch. You're going to eat your lunch, and then you go, oh man, that was a handsome guy. And then you go a couple of weeks later, you're going to go hiking, and you might see the same guy. Like, wow, right? Next thing you know, y'all talking. Man, I see you here by yourself and you hiking. Oh, that's what I love to do, right? Right. Now, this doesn't mean it's going to be a perfect match, but you've narrowed down the group of guys now to at least this is somebody who's in my lane. You know what I'm saying? Now, the people in your lane, you probably still going to deal with some stuff, but at least you narrowed it down, right? Do the thing love, do your passion, be in your purpose, be in your sweet spot, be going to the conferences and doing the things that's designed around the thing you love, and you'll meet people in those spaces.
Okay, so you said a lot. One of the questions that I wanted to ask you, because just there's more women than men, right? So by sheer numbers, somebody is going to end up with nobody if we're talking about black men and black women. And then, like you also said, you said there's a small slither of the pie of the tier of black men that women want. Are we in a situation where the black woman may have to look outside of her race to find what she's looking for? And if that is the case, how do we as black men, right, and them as black women, how do we contend with that? Because that's a thing. That's something that's contentious to deal with. You know what I'm saying?
Look, man, you know, as black men, when I say we, I'm talking about, you know, the history of us. We've made a bed that we're now having to lay in, right? And what we need to do is remake the bed. We need to get out of that joint. We need to remake it, but we got a lot to overcome, right? So, you know, we again have to step up our game. And the sisters, you know, I think that a quality sister can find a quality black man, right? Because I think that she's going to stand out from the rest. Because while there's a lot of women who are doing the right thing as far as their finances, they got great jobs, they're beautiful, all of that, that don't mean that they set for to be a good match for a relationship, right? Because there's some qualities that you need to bring to the table to be in a relationship, right? And to be in a lasting relationship. So you can have those qualities, but that ain't it. Because my criteria was that when I'm on my second marriage. My first marriage, my criteria was I want you to be beautiful. I want you to be financially stable. I wanted the basics.
Mm-hmm.
That's a large group of women, black women, have the basics.
Okay.
But that's not enough, right? So you can stand out, and the right black man will see you. He'll see your energy. He'll see your aura, right? But
Right.
what were you going to ask?
What are those qualities?
So, okay, boom. I did not believe that I would get remarried so quick. I personally didn't think it was going to be that possible that quickly, because I knew my criteria has shifted from just being attractive and this and that. Like, nah, that's not enough. First, I need you to be self-aware. That quality alone is going to knock a whole lot of women out.
Mm.
Quality alone. I need you to first know you. And when it comes to not just women, but men and women in general, the self-search, the searching for who you are and really delving into that, that's a small segment of people that's really on that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to automatically separate yourself by knowing who you are. And when you know who you are, that means you're not trying to be like everybody else. You're trying to be you. You're trying to be unique. You're trying to stand out in a way this is just me. And I'm not trying to do this for nobody else but me. And guess what? A man knows when you're doing you and when you're doing something for somebody else. I'm talking about they see it from far.
Yeah, that's very
Right?
easy. Right.
What? Man, I said, look, I did not, self-awareness. That's the first thing, right? So I I first met my wife at a party, right? This was a celebration for good friends of mine. Um, they were having a business launch party. She came in with some of her girlfriends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And other women were there. It was a star-studded event, beautiful event. She walked in. I saw energy, right? She walked in with other women who were attractive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I saw her energy. I didn't see everybody else's energy. So I just watched for a while, right? Watched for a while. There's things that you notice about a person that tells you, one, a level of self-awareness, but also it's a level of self-confidence, but it's not an arrogance.
Okay.
Right? It's a difference between self-confidence and arrogance and snobbiness and stuck up and all of that. You don't have to be none of that, right? But guess what? Those are the things that's going to separate you, right? Because there's a lot of people who are overly confident and they doing too much. You ain't got to do none of that. All you got to do is just be comfortable in your skin. And the God knows when you're comfortable in your skin. And when you truly are, you don't have to try. It's just so, right? It's just so. So boom, self-awareness, right? And for me, it was initially just peeping the energy, because I wouldn't even be interested in you if your energy's wrong. Again, other women and all of that. But if your energy's wrong, boom, I'm not interested, right? But
Okay.
one of the questions that I asked her early on, because I want to weed you out quick. And this is another thing that I get where people are trying, like, how soon should I ask certain questions? You know, how soon should I really ask important questions about who you are? Immediately, it depends on what you want out of the situation. If you want a long-lasting relationship, then you don't want to waste time. Why are we wasting time? I need to know immediately what's up with you. Like you just said, Charles, what's up with you?
What's up
Right?
with you?
Right?
Right.
So I'm gonna ask the questions, right? So I want to know if you know who you are, and if you don't, okay, I don't need to continue with this discussion, right?
Right.
But I ask her what's messed up about you, right? I don't want to know. Don't give me the rundown on the good stuff. That's easy. But I want you to be able to tell me what's jacked up, right? What you need to work on, what's broken, what needs to be fixed, right? I want to know that early, because what I learned is people just don't want to fix things about themselves. They don't even want to know it need to be fixed. They want to pretend that it don't need to be fixed. Well, okay, I don't got time to waste with that. Okay, so boom. I want to know if you know what's messed up about you. Secondly, I want to know if you are willing to correct it, because some people know they messed up and they don't want to do nothing about it.
Yeah. That's just the
They're like,
way
oh,
I am.
yeah, oh, man, I got a bad attitude. I'll cuss you out in a minute, and you just got to be able to accept it. Word? Oh, man, you told me that one. I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you later on. Lock. Lock. But guess what? People will accept these things from other people when they have their own stuff that they got to fix. That's why it's important for you to go on a self journey to fix your stuff, or at least be working on it. Now, if you tell me, look, I know I'm messed up and these are the things I'm messed up with, and here's what I'm doing to fix it, and man, I need help fixing it, man, I'll pick up a shovel with you.
Right.
But if you don't know, and if you're not trying to do nothing, I ain't got time for it.
So
Those
shout
two
out
things
to
will separate women all day. Go ahead.
say that again. I didn't hear you.
Those two things will separate women from the pack all day.
Got you. Shout out to the missus, Life Coach Vaughn. Welcome to the show. You're more than welcome to drop some in the comments.
She
Um,
just
she was in here. I don't know if she's still, yeah, she's still in here. So,
okay.
Lil said fixing stuff comes with responsibility, and people are afraid of responsibility.
Absolutely. That's the thing. If you either you fall in two categories, personal responsibility or victim mentality. And I don't want you to be, if you're a victim mentality person, I can't do nothing with that.
Yeah, that's how I am. I'm like, you can't tell me I can't do something. I can do it, right?
What? I ain't got time for that victim
I, I,
mentality.
I just got to find the correct information to get it done. If I ain't done it, it's because I don't have the information yet. That's all it is. Um, let's talk about money, because money's a big factor in everybody's mental health, right?
Right.
And I think that the statistic is something like the average black man makes somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 a year. That's not a lot of money. How does the amount of money that a man makes affect his mental state?
I think it definitely affects his mental state, because one, I think that the average brother wants to be loved, wants to be supported, wants to be cared for. And, money is something that has historically been the thing to say, if you don't have it, you're not gonna get love. You're not gonna get support. You're not gonna get the things that you long for. So it's directly attached to feeling like a man. It's directly attached to feeling like you are a quote unquote provider, right? And unfortunately, even if you were in your sweet spot, if you were in your passion, if you loved to teach first grade, and you capped out at 60, 70,000, right? Um, Unfortunately, there's some women who would say, nah, I can't do nothing with that. If you can't support me to live this particular type of lifestyle, then we can't, because I have aspirations to live like this, and if I can't live like that, then you don't fit. All right.
Mm.
So I think it definitely does tap into to the mental health and the mindset of the black man.
Yeah, I mean, I maybe I'm just a dreamer. I'm like, whatever is out there to get, it could be gotten. It's just a matter of going to get it.
Yeah.
I also think that there are a lot of black women out there who value um, the inner qualities of a person as opposed to the amount of money they make. You
Yeah.
know, I just think it's a lot of, I hate to use the word regular, you know what I'm saying, but just not women who aren't looking for dudes who are making an NBA salary. You know what I'm saying? You could make $50,000, $60,000 a year if you a good guy, you open, you honest, communicative, emotionally intelligent, you can protect. They be down for the ride. You know what I'm saying? That's what I
Yeah.
see. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think it's definitely possible. And I think oftentimes I see the dynamic where, the woman will get with a guy on the potential, right? So they'll want the guy to have the potential to make a certain amount. And if you're not there yet, then they're good. They're like, okay, you got the potential, so I'll get with it, I'll ride. But if the guy doesn't live up to that potential, then they salty. They're not good with you staying there, right? They're a little
mhm.
salty. But then I see where, there's some women that are just straight take care of a guy. I just recently heard of a term called hobosexual. You heard of this?
Nah, I ain't heard that one.
I mean, when I heard this, I bust out
That
laughing.
really sound funny.
I bust out laughing. This is
What
a guy who
sexual?
who will habitually use women for their place. Like he don't have no place. He just will bounce from spot to spot.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
Right. But see now, this is a guy who's preying on women who their self-esteem is some type of way. Right. Because, I don't see, I think again, just like there's levels and layers to guys. It's the same thing with women, but a strong woman whose self-esteem is where it needs to be. She's not tolerating certain things. She'll go without a dude, she'll go lesbian before she gonna go like that, right? But there's guys who will definitely tap into weaknesses and exploit it all day. So you'll see where some women will get caught up in, and then you have some women, unfortunately, who get into this sort of complex where they want to fix the guy. So you'll have some women who are high quality women who could do a whole lot better, but they're caught up on wanting to fix a guy because a lot of times it goes back to wanting to fix a relationship that they maybe didn't have with their father, or a previous relationship, a significant male relationship that they couldn't fix, and they'll want to fix this guy, and they get caught up, and it's like, damn, you're an attorney, you this, you that, and you really trying to fix this person. And so that also again goes into the psyche of that woman. But well-adjusted woman who's doing her thing, she not going for that, man. She
Hobo, the
bring
hobo.
something to the table, bro. But that homosexual joint is hilarious.
Yeah, let me read some of these comments. AJ Throwback said, definitely not a lot of money in the DC area. At one point, you had to make 107,000 a year to live comfortably in the city. That type of pressure can definitely take a mental toll, especially for men.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially if the narrative is if you don't make that much, then you're not worth nothing or you're not this and you're not that. That's terrible. But unfortunately, you got to make a certain amount to be able to, like you said, to even survive out here, right?
Right. Steph said it's enough if you are careful with it. Handling small amounts correctly leads to increase. The more you have doesn't increase happiness. So she's talking about the um, the money aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know, man. I just think it could be the circles that I travel in. I just think people are more interested in um, the quality of person that they're dealing with as opposed to the money. I mean, of course, there's always going to be your gold diggers and your hot girls or whatever they are. But I mean, it's a bunch of other women out there who are just like, yo, I'm just looking for a good guy. So that's what
They
you.
say that. Now you seeing these women that they got money spilling out their pockets, and they saying I'm just looking for a good guy, and they willing to be with a guy who's not bringing that much to the table. You see that?
Say that again.
These women who got money spilling out their pockets, and they saying
Mm-hmm.
I just want a good guy. That's all I want. How
Mm-hmm.
often are you seeing that dynamic actually take place?
I don't. From what I mean, I'm not in people's personal lives, so I can't say. I I don't necessarily think that women who make a bunch of money are looking for a guy who's making $40,000 a year. I think that they may genuinely believe, right, that that's what they want. But then when you get something and you realize that you got to carry this weight, is
They
when
don't
you're.
want that, bro.
It's,
They don't.
you know what? It's kind of like it's kind of like someone who wants a particular car, right? Um, and you're like, I like, I don't know, Lexuses or Mercedes or something, and then you get it, and it's a nice car, but when it messes up, like it's really, really, really expensive. So you find out the inner workings of it, and I just think by nature, men are the protectors and the providers. So I do think it's harder for a woman who makes a bunch of money to deal with a dude who's not making a lot.
And then you know what? And to the point though that because both men and women have this perspective of what protect and provide looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it has been attached to finances, and it's not necessarily that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if truth be told, how it should really be is we should throw out this whole concept. I had this discussion in my relationship. We have to throw out the concept of weight, right? Because not just financially, but just task driven and all of that. Because if we're a team and we're coming together and we're merging as one, we have to throw out this mentality because it can cause division between us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have somebody who's bringing a certain amount to the table, male or female, and you're looking at it like this is what I'm bringing and you're bringing less than, and I'm carrying more weight than you because of that, then inherently in that there's division, and I kind of look at you some type of way, or maybe there's a little less respect when it comes to certain things. It shows up in ways, right? But when we say, you know what you bring to the table is what we bring to the table. This is ours, right? The
Mm-hmm.
same way you're bringing finances to the table, maybe I'm bringing how to take care of the finances to the table because you may not know really how to execute that, right? You may bring the money, but not really know how to manage it well or not really know how to execute certain things. But everything is a part of the team, right? So if we lose this mentality of I'm providing in that way, and if I don't provide in that way, then I can't. I'm not bringing what I need to bring to the table. We got to lose that because guess what? If you have a woman, right, who let's say she makes 100,000,
Mm-hmm.
and the man makes 50,
Okay.
but the now it's not acceptable for her to make 100,000 and she's carrying the world on her back and pushing and busting her ass, and he's chilling and he only making 50. But guess what? If he's busting his ass as a school teacher and he's tapped out whatever his thing is, but this is his calling. This is what he does, right? This is what
Mm-hmm.
he loves to do. and he's bringing home whatever he's bringing, but he's bringing home half what she's bringing, and they're both doing their part, then guess what? This is what we bring into the table, right? But oftentimes, because of this perception that for a woman, oftentimes she feels like if the man is not bringing more than her to the table, he is not covering her. Oftentimes, she doesn't feel covered as much, right? She wants a man, she wants to feel covered in that way. But guess what? Again, going back to that dynamic that I just described, he can cover you in other ways. Now, if the man is not stepping up his game in those ways, she's definitely not going to feel protected. She's definitely not going to feel covered. If he's not consistent, if he's not holding things down as far as taking the lead on other things, then guess what? She's not going to feel like he's holding down his end. So, you know, I do see that dynamic take place often where for the man, he feels less than if he's not bringing a certain amount. And for the woman, she feel like, look, if you're not bringing a certain amount, the respect is not going to be there. You can't come to me talking about what we're going to do if you're not bringing X, Y, and Z to the table, right? So, you know, I think it needs to be challenged on both ends. And we need to throw out this concept of weight. And it's like, hey, as long as we both busting our ass, everything is essential, right? Everything is essential, because a lot of times we look at things as task driven. You know, if I'm doing 50 things and you're doing 2 things, then I carry more weight. No, you don't. Because if I don't carry my 2 things and the whole ship go down, guess what? I'm carrying just as much weight as you, right?
Right.
So let's forget about weight, because it's going to shift at different points in the relationship. And when it shifts, if you caught up on this whole thing of weight and now it shifts and now I'm holding up the end and you're not, now how am I looking at you?
Got you. Thanks, See You Savvy, for the follow. It's some questions in here, specific questions for you I want to get to.
Yeah.
Rescue 124. How do you feel about a husband staying home, taking care of the kids, cooking, cleaning while his wife goes to work? She makes 3 times more than her husband was making. They are cool with the situation. Other people feel he's a weak man. And I want to make sure I read this other one because it was long and I don't want to lose it in the comments. I don't want to mess up your name. ADES Gems. What do you think is the best way to tell a spouse that you think your season together has come to an end? Okay, so you remember the first question I asked, right? About the man being at home?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna pin this other one so that I have it, and once you're done with that one, answering that one, I'll read the other one. So the man staying at home, the wife makes 3 times more. It works for them, but people are like, oh, that's weak for him to stay at home. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I just did a video that I'm gonna post probably tomorrow, right? And just talking about how we need to run our race and keep our eye on our finish line, right? I talked about how my son, when he was 5, I put him in outdoor track. It was like open meets you. Anybody could bring their kid. He ran a 100-yard dash and he was looking to his left the whole time at the kid next to him, right? The whole time.
Right.
So had he kept his eye on the finish line, he'd have finished faster, right? But you got to this person's pace to keep your eye on the whole time, right? So what I say to that couple is keep your eye on the finish line. Who gives a damn what everybody else say and think? That's y'all relationship. And that's the problem. We focused on everybody else's relationship instead of ours, right? But we get to create our own dynamic in our relationship. That's the beauty. We get together and do what we want to do.
Right.
So if you going out and you killing whatever she's doing, whatever her business is bringing to the table, guess what? Again, if we throw out this concept of weight, this is our business. So I'm supporting you. I'm covering you. If she feel covered and protected, because I don't know how this guy is built, but the dude might be a lethal weapon, right?
Right.
So while I'm at home cleaning and cooking and doing all that stuff, you come home to a clean house. And when we go out to eat, because of this money that you just made, let somebody step out of line, I might hit them with 2 pieces and a biscuit. It's over. So who feels more protected? Right? Who feels more protected? Right? The woman who gets supported by her man and will do whatever it takes to make sure this house is being taken care of. And I don't know whatever else he brings to the table, but he could bring a number of things to the table to hold the house down while she's doing her thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But man, we gotta stop worrying about how other people, because we gotta lose this whole the old way of the man going out, bringing home the bread, and the woman taking care of the house. That dynamic doesn't exist anymore because women are out here making more money than men. And again, going back to what I said earlier, women are doing like this. You're gonna see more and more of that dynamic with women out here killing the game. And that might be by design too, because I saw a lot of women getting, when I was working in the government, a lot of women were getting promoted like this, and
Mm-hmm.
men not so quickly. So by design, there's some things that could be keeping the man from doing that. But guess what? The
Mm-hmm.
whole thing is, whatever works for your relationship, man, more power to you. And while these other people are talking about it, how's your relationship?
Facts. I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, I personally, I look at it and I'm like, whatever works for you, do it. It don't matter what I think because I ain't in a relationship. It don't matter what anybody else think. You know what I'm saying? For me personally, I feel the need to go to work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I enjoy going to work, not day in and day out. And it'd be nice to
right,
sit around,
right.
cook a grill every day. But
Now we didn't ask what I would do. We asked about them.
right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, but as long as it works, you know what I'm saying? I can't knock you. Let's get to this other one. What do you think is the best way to tell a spouse that you think your season together has come to an end? Not placing blame, but to say that like we're no longer a good fit. Like it's just we've grown apart. This thing's over.
I think that question is has a couple of layers to it, because hopefully by that time you both are in agreement. That means you both have been in communication. But oftentimes it gets there and it's because of silence. It's because we haven't been talking. We're not talking, and somebody's just gotten to the point where they're fed up and they're like, it's a wrap. I know that's what happened with me. That's something that I learned. And again, I was married and divorced, and now I'm married again. And in my first relationship, I stopped talking, right? I take full responsibility for the outcome because I stopped communicating. I stopped saying, this is what I'm sick and tired of, right? I stopped saying that, and I got cold, and I became emotionless, and it was a wrap from there. So I would say I'm hoping that you are communicating through this, and both of y'all understand where you are. Because here's what I assume, that because of the status of the relationship and how we were moving, I assume this person was on the same page. Like, she must know the relationship is over,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's how I felt. But no, if you're not communicating, another person can be in a whole different place. They could feel like it's all good, and you by yourself feeling like it's over.
Together and alone, together and lonely.
Bruh, like, it's, so you can't stop communicating. You have to talk through it. And if it's at that place, um, you know, I don't think there is a quote unquote best way. But I do believe that the conversation needs to happen. And I think that ideally, when you have the conversation, you talk about how you got to that place, and you say, hey, this is where I am. This is how I got here. And if you need mediation, because sometimes, but I think you said that person, they said is amicable, like they both in agreement, or they both.
Let's go back. Give me a second. Let me scroll back because I unpinned it. Not to place blame, but to say that we are no longer good at it. And then she said you want to maintain a positive relationship for the children. You share and minimize the disrespect. And then as you were answering the question, she also said, she put the target symbol and said, I have stopped talking because we are going in circles.
Yeah. So to stop talking, and guess what I learned? I don't care if you're going in circles, you can't stop talking.
Mm.
Can't stop talking, because guess what? I stopped talking, and when I did communicate, at that point, it was like it's over. But now this other person gets to say, well, I didn't know we were there.
Mm.
You didn't say. I thought, I assumed, and it's like, wait a minute, right? So guess what? I said, you know what? I'm never going to be in that situation. I'm gonna make sure you know exactly where I am the whole time. So now every week I'm making sure you know where I'm at. I'm doing we got to do, just like in your car, you do regular oil changes and maintenance. It's a
Mm-hmm.
requirement for your relationship to do regular check-ins and maintenance to make sure y'all both on the same page with where your relationship is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're talking in circles and you're not getting nowhere, you need to get help, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need somebody to help support, have that conversation so you both can feel heard. One other suggestion could be to, you can write down your thoughts. You can write down your thoughts, or you could do a video. I love the Marco Polo app. My wife and I use that. If it's a difficult conversation, I do a video, she do a video, right? But mediation definitely helps. I provide couples counseling, so that's what I love doing. Also, my wife and I are doing a whole series on transitions, and we've been talking about life after divorce. So go on my Instagram, go to the live, and go on a series under transitions. And we've been talking about, all of that when it comes to the kids, how to move with the kids, all of that when the relationship is over. So it's a lot of good information on there. I also follow my wife, Life Coach Vaughn, VON. And follow her as well. And she gives a whole lot of good insight on that process too. So if you have any other questions on that, we are here.
Okay, you could just give me a yes or no on this one. Would you suggest couples therapy at the beginning of a, say, marriage? Like before things are bad, can couples therapy be good for us to just come in?
Let me give you that one, man, because I'm so glad you asked this, because in
Oh,
America,
I don't want Life Coach Vaughn to pop in on me and be like, hey, look, man, it's getting late. So you
hold
know.
up, but bruh, this is a great question, because in America, this is the problem. We are very reactive, right? We are very reactive in America. And our healthcare, I was 19 when I started using my health insurance. I went in, I said, test me for everything. I want to get tested for all the STDs, everything. And I was excited because I was using my health insurance. I thought health insurance was to prevent and to help people to stay alive. That's what I thought. I get the results back and it's like 2 tests on the joint. I said, what? Why is it only 2 tests? Oh, because you're not showing signs and symptoms. What? I got to be falling apart before you're going to test me,
Right,
right?
right.
But that's our mentality. We need our relationship to be falling apart before we can ask for help. No, be proactive. Just like we need to be proactive with our health. We need to, now everybody's into, the supplements and the sea moss and the this and the that. They trying to be proactive about their health. Be proactive when it comes to your relationship. Why would you wait to fall in the ditch if you can figure out how to not fall in it? I do a whole 10-week course on premarital counseling, but I had people come when they were dating. I think you should go to counseling when you're dating. Like,
Mm,
go to counseling when you're like, find out if this is the right person. Like, why would you wait? I'm blown apart. My arms are all across everything. I'm blown apart. Now I'm gonna ask for help. No,
right, right.
be proactive, man.
Mm. Okay, so that's good stuff. Good stuff, my man. In general, right? Everybody doesn't have the opportunity to talk to a therapist, or they don't know a therapist the way I do. I could text you and get how you hit me back. So, in general, right? A lot of us deal with anger issues, some bouts of like sadness, depression, anxiety, all of the negative emotions that can be sticky. What are some things that you suggest in general for people to get through those tough emotions or negative thoughts?
I would say the first thing is that everything that we consume is can be a form of medication, right? And everything that we consume is what we are watching, what we're eating, what we're reading, what we are exposing ourselves to. And that is a really, really big influence over our mental health and how we view ourselves, how we manage our emotions, our anger, all of that has to do with what we're exposed to. So it's what we formulate our lens and how we see the world through, right? Is what we're exposed to. So be very mindful of what you're exposing yourself to, because it's if you are connected with a network that is negative, if all you're absorbing is negativity, if all you're being shown is how to express your emotions and anger through punching somebody or through breaking something, then that's what you're going to do, right? But if you are connected with good quality people and you're connected with positive people with positive energy and people who are well adjusted, people who show you healthy ways of self-expression, right?
Mm.
That's why I have so much on my page that has to do with what I do every day, which is exercise. Like that's how I get it out. That's how I release, right? And you have to have ways to release negative energy. Otherwise, it's going to come out in an unhealthy way. But you have to learn how to do it, because you may not know. What you don't know, you don't know. But expose yourself to the right network. And right now, oh man, it's a plethora. It's wide open. The internet is wide open. YouTube, podcasts, you name it. It's all over the place, and you can select who you want to be connected to so that you can get the information that's going to help you the way you need. I mean, like literally, it's like Clubhouse, right? Like, and of course, anything can be weaponized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything can be weaponized. I've heard people say, "Oh, it's a whole bunch of negative." What are you looking for, though? Like, if you go on Clubhouse and you're looking for negativity, you're gonna find it. You go on Clubhouse and you say, I want to put in mindfulness, I want to put in meditation, I want to put in anger management. You put in any of these things, you put in anything that says therapy or therapeutic, the groups are going to come up and you can connect and plug into the right people. So surround yourself with the right people. Monitor your energy. We have to monitor our energy input and our energy output, right? So we are allowing a lot of people we're allowing ourselves to be exposed to a lot of people who have negative energy, and we're expecting to be positive, right? And that goes for your family, your friends, whoever, right? So you have to sometimes treat people in dosages. That's why I say it's medicine, because even the people you expose yourself to is a form of medicine. And sometimes you got to turn down the dosage and say, you know what? I can only give you about 5 minutes today, right? But you expose yourself to these people on a regular basis and expect them to come out positive. If you're around shit all day, you're going to start smelling pretty shitty.
Facts. In our last session, which was this past Saturday, I believe, you said something that just kind of stuck to my brain. We were talking about social media, growing on social media, and all of that good stuff. And you said, I don't follow people, I follow content.
Yeah.
Man, that shit hit me like a Mike Tyson uppercut. I was like, oh, like that's the perfect way to put it. You know what I'm saying? And so, I've been through my joint and I'm like, oh, I don't follow people, I follow content. I don't care about your content. You
Yeah, man.
unfollow is what it is. Somebody followed me too. I want to give a shout out. Somebody followed me. Lisa Moore 7315. I appreciate the follow. AJ said we have to monitor our energy input and output. Oh, he was quoting you. That's a whole gem, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole word right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely appreciate people that actually support, even, I don't even like the word follow, but support, and it's really my page. I only developed it because of business, right? I didn't develop it before I had a business. So that's why it's so young, and it's pretty new to Instagram, but the purpose of it is to help other people, right? So the purpose of it is to give content. So if it's not about that, then
Right. Steph wants to know, could you please suggest some books specifically for us, by us? I got one, Run to the Pain by Dr. Rob the Third, right?
The third, exactly. Run to the Pain. I think that's your first book for us, by us, that you need to get, because it's really, to me, it's kind of like it's a way to help you discover little ways to become the best version of yourself. And it's talking about trauma recovery. It's talking about forgiveness, which, as a people, we talking about black men. We need to learn how to forgive. We need to know what that is, because we attach forgiveness to weakness, and we attach forgiveness um, to letting somebody get over on you, right? And not holding people accountable. And it's two different things. Forgiveness don't have nothing to do with accountability, right? Forgiveness is you releasing yourself, right? But I can still want you to go to jail for what you did. I'm just not mad about it while I'm in the courtroom, right? I'm in there watching you go to jail, but I'm
Right.
not staying up at night. I can't sleep at night. I'm torturing myself when I do that,
Right.
right? So, this book is really, I needed to just get that out there and really provide a lot of information to people in a short, quick way. And so there's some good nuggets in there. Also, another book, Intentionality. This book is for only people that are serious about self-work. And again, for the ladies and the men, I tell people, if you are dating and you trying to get to know somebody, get Intentionality for you and that person. Y'all go through the workbook, because it's going to be talking about your purpose, your passion, motivation, your guilt, your anger, people you need to forgive, your daily routine. It's going to be talking about who you are. You're going to dissect who you are, and you're going to find out about that person, and then y'all can compare notes, right? You're going to
Mhm.
find out how self-aware a person is. So Intentionality, again, you put in Dr. Robert Evans III, it'll come up. Those two books first. Start there, then holler at me, and I'll tell you some other books.
I was trying to pull up your book on my other phone, but I'm logged out of my other Kindle on my other phone.
Oh, I keep books on tap, man. Hold
Yeah.
up.
When I go in there, I be looking at him like, man, this man got a whole bunch of books. Um, I got a couple that I've read. They're not necessarily by black authors that I find really good. Yeah, that's it right there. Run to the Pain. I've read his book
Hey,
twice, and you will see me post quotes from it from time to time. I'm a reader. I haven't been reading as much about Intentionality, and I dropped gems from his books and a couple other authors. One of the books that's really good for self awareness is The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. Like he talked about self awareness. The Dark Side of the Light Chasers helps you deal with the suppressed aspects of your personality. So that's a good one. Difficult Conversations is another good one, which
oh
teaches you.
yeah, I picked up that one.
Yeah, it teaches you how to have difficult conversations with people you disagree with, and as opposed to listening to respond and retort and play this chess game, you listen to learn from their perspective. So that's another one. Those are the two that really just pop off in my head. And another one is Master Your Emotions. It's a yellow book. Those are the three that pop into my head off the break. Chills like Kevin Gates, IG Streets. I got two phones. Yeah, I gotta have two phones, man. I had to upgrade and all of that good stuff. Um, I got one more question for you, but if you have anything else in closing, you're more than welcome to say your piece before I send you home.
Also, the Pain Pill. This is the workbook that goes with Run to the Pain. Also on Amazon. Everything on Amazon. Run to the Pain. The Pain Pill is the workbook where when you go through Run to the Pain, and you're like, man, I actually got to do some self work. You can actually do the self work, and you can document it in the Pain Pill. So that's actually a workbook. But what's your last question?
So this is where y'all get a sneak peek into my therapy session. So I just need a couple minutes more. He wouldn't ask this on live, but I asked it earlier with my close people who showed up on my first live. So, you know who Jay Shetty is?
Jay Shetty?
Jay Shetty. I think it's Shetty. Shetty.
Nah.
So he's an author. He's a life coach. He's very popular. He got 10 million followers on Instagram. He's a very positive dude. He has these different courses. I bought one of them, which is how to improve your growth on social media. I'm only on the second part. He talks about focusing on your purpose, not the amount of followers you have, and
Awesome.
fulfilling stuff like that. But my question is, he got this other course that the universe is telling me I should take, and I shouldn't worry about the money. He got a life coach course, and you my therapist. So you, other than my wife, will be the person who would tell me that. Do you think I would be a good life coach,
Um,
or am I too rugged?
what this is how I would answer that. I did 14 years working in the government, and for a large part of my career, I've done a lot of training. Right, I've done a lot of training, individuals, professionals, counselors, all of that, on different strategies, communication, and cognitive behavioral therapy, you name it. And people leave the trainings and they either go and apply what it is that they've learned, or they don't. And the agency would just throw money at training, like, we just got to keep training these people. And I tell them, no, there's certain things you can't train.
Mm.
Right? There's certain things you can't train. I don't care how much education you have. You can have whatever you got. But if you don't have some basic things, you're never going to be a good anything when it comes to helping other people. Right? So one of those things is simply caring.
Okay, I
Right?
care.
I think you care.
I care.
I think you're a very caring brother, right? And you actually care on a number of ways, so much so that you will self-correct, you will self-adjust. You kind of like artificial intelligence, right? You find out what's going on and you make the adjustment. And I think that with that quality, you will reach and impact a lot of people, bro. You
Okay.
know, think that not only that, you're extremely brilliant.
Thank
Brilliant guy.
you. I appreciate it, man. That's what's up.
So with that, I think that you would be excellent, because you have qualities that people can't get trained on.
Mm.
You know, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of what they say it's a lot of people that's, called and few are chosen or whatever, right?
Yeah. So whatever. We all.
But everybody don't fit the bill, brother.
Well, went on his website and I clicked on find a coach, right? And I scroll and I scroll and I scroll. And I didn't scroll all the way to the end, but I ain't see no black dudes. And I thought back to when I was looking for a therapist, and I was like, man, I could talk to anybody, but I kind of just want a black dude, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, what if I was the black guy on there? People be like, I want to talk to the black. I could be the life coach for black guys, you know what I'm saying? Your problem's a little
But
strong.
guess what? Well, I guess what? And I haven't even looked at that website, but this speaks to what I said earlier about our trajectory. You didn't see one black guy, but how many black women did you see?
I saw a few. A lot of them were they looked like maybe of Indian, not Native American, but like Indian descent. But it was definitely some black women on there. I'm telling you for a fact. I scrolled, the thumb got action, right?
Yeah.
I ain't see no black dudes. And I was like, damn, like if I as a black guy, I mean I got you. So I'm not you kind of like my life coach, right? Damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I was just somebody who didn't have a Dr. E, I'd be like, well, where am I going to find my life coach?
Right.
I just was like, that might be worth the $670, but it's $675 a month. But I don't know how long it takes to do the course. And God don't care about money. So I was like, maybe I should.
Yeah, it would be an investment in yourself, brother. And I don't think there's too much money to invest in yourself, man. And then you get what you need from it, and then you keep it pushing, But when you're investing in yourself, it's unlimited. And that's why, when it comes to pricing, it's not cheap to get couples therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not cheap. When you're paying out of pocket, it's not cheap, because you should be investing in your future. You'll invest in anything else. You'll invest in some Jordans, or you'll invest in a belt, or you'll invest in, whatever you want to invest in, right? Investing in yourself, invest in your future.
Cool, my man. Well, I definitely take your advice into consideration. I always do, whether we agree or disagree. I always let it sizzle on my brain cells and come back 2 weeks later, be like, yo, I thought about this. You know what
I
I'm saying?
appreciate that about you, brother.
My I appreciate you sitting down with me again. You are actually my first return guest that I talk
Uh,
to. I have people pop in and pop out, but you're the first one I actually sit down and talk to. Crystal was supposed to be the first one, but you beat it to the punch. She beat you to the punch. So it's all good. Love you, my brother.
hey,
And
love you.
yeah, I mean, if you need anything, hit me up. And I appreciate you, man. Thanks, Life Coach Vaughn. Y'all go follow Life Coach Vaughn too for letting me borrow her husband late into a Thursday night.
Yeah, she gonna get me.
It's all it's
All
all
right,
good.
y'all.
All right.
Yeah, this was a great discussion, man, and hopefully people got something out of it. I'll definitely go back and look through it. I think we talked about some good stuff, man.
My man, I'll holler at you.
Holla.
All right, peace.